I've got two words for you. Needlessly exciting. I'm Ray Myers. Welcome to Craft versus Cruft. And today we got a little sequel, I suppose, from my last episode, Java is Pretty Good, actually, where we're pulling back a little bit from some of the more exploratory and experimental episodes I've had on AI lately. And getting back to what this channel is really for, which is general guidance on the software engineering profession, if we dare call it that. So I asked on LinkedIn, what should we talk about next? And my friend Brad Seipert, a very talented front-end developer, said, I'd like to hear about guiding principles in software architecture. All right, well, that's hard. A lot of breath and paper, and blood, sweat, and tears has been expended on this. But let's give it a go, shall we? The first thing I had to say about this was my first episode ever, ship value. So you can check out all the things I had to say about what those two words mean before we get to the two words in this episode, if you like. Then my second episode was software engineering is social. That's also very important to the idea of even what architecture is. It takes place within a social landscape. Probably the thing that most directly addresses his question is the episode Designing for Change, in which I try to say that a way of navigating through all the different patterns and principles you're going to see is the actual goal we're trying to achieve through them, which is to keep our software changeable, to respond to the changes that are likely to occur best we can anticipate. And that's very difficult to do, something arguably experience is the only true teacher of, but it's important to keep in mind what our actual goal was with all these patterns. Following the pattern is not the goal. Best practices are typically patterns that were created for particular types of contexts to further specific goals. Applying them without any understanding of if they help your context meet that goal is meaningless. Don't do that. A phrase you hear batted around for applying something you've seen work before with no real understanding of the cause and effect relationship is cargo culting, or like cargo cult engineering. Look into that if you like. It's not today's topic. So from ship value, from software engineering is social, from also tech debt and trust, another episode, and what we're trying to do when we make these decisions ultimately is avoid tech debt, right? We're trying to avoid a decision we're going to regret later. And after Design for Change is today. And the two words I want to put in your head are needlessly exciting. I want to credit my friend Chuck Huber I went to school with, and he, I believe, currently is a software engineer at Garmin. Oftentimes I would suggest something to him, some way of solving a problem, and he would say, sounds needlessly exciting. And the more I look back, that is just such a seasoned thing to say, wise beyond his years. I haven't seen it captured quite as well and succinctly as that, though I'm going to show you a lot of examples over the years of people saying very similar things. The reason I like needlessly exciting is because it's using exciting as a pejorative, even though we would normally consider exciting a positive. Why is that good? Because it acknowledges our cognitive bias. Okay, we are technophiles, right? I love learning new programming languages and new frameworks and new approaches and all this stuff. So I do get excited by those things, right? But does that excitement mean that it's actually the right answer right now? No, of course it doesn't. That is a cognitive bias. So it calls out a cognitive bias, and also it qualifies it, right? Because that sounds needlessly exciting. It doesn't say things being exciting is bad. It doesn't say that at all, right? But things being needlessly exciting probably is bad, probably is an indicator that maybe this is a little too complex, a little too untried, untested, needlessly risky. It says nothing about if it's a good idea to make something exciting needfully when there's a legitimate concern, when we've ruled out the more boring options. So to me, needlessly exciting, in just two words, says let's rein in our cognitive bias. Let's understand that, of course, we like trying a lot of shiny new things, But if we're trying to solve a problem, let's get back to what our needs actually are. And do the needs justify the level of excitement that is being proposed here? And instead of avoiding needless excitement, if we want to phrase it positively, look no further than the 2002 film Secretary. Viewer discretion advised, not safe for work at all. The title character's in a job interview, and the interviewer says, really, you're overqualified for this. You'd be bored. And she says, I want to be bored. Guiding principles in software architecture, you ask, Brad. In her words, I want to be bored. Okay, I don't want to be bored by every aspect of my job, but I definitely want to be bored by the architecture. I want to find that utterly uninteresting, right? Because interesting, needlessly exciting architectures cause a lot of pain. I'm going to link a bunch of articles in the description to put a little more color on this, and these have all come out just sort of throughout my career, because this is just an idea that keeps getting discovered and rediscovered. Initially, I filmed myself talking through these for 20 minutes, but better to just read them. Leave a comment, shoot me a message if you want to go into anything more specific there, but I'm just going to mention them right now. We have Scott Berkun, the author of Art of Project Management and several other pretty neat books, with his 2008 article, Stop Saying Innovation, Here's Why. From 2012, the article, Sequel is Agile. We've got 2014, taking a little more extreme stance than my last video, Java is pretty good actually, which is an article called Java for Everything. Probably the most on-the-nose capturing of my message today is Dan McKinley's Choose Boring Technology article from 2015. He introduces a particularly interesting idea called an innovation token. You get 3 innovation tokens, spend them wisely. A great piece for disillusioning ourselves about these momentary technical trends is Kill It With Fire by Marianne Belloti. Got it right here. It's fantastic. Probably the best book on software modernization projects. She's also got some affordable courses I just found today. Looks very nice. Check them out. And going right up to present day, last month we have this article which is tearing up the forums, death by 1,000 microservices. Just alone, this first heading, The Church of Complexity, is just beautiful. They link this skit, which is quite funny. My favorite way to read the article is by watching Prime's reaction video, if you prefer. And so these have just been a few of the drops in a bucket that have resonated the same point throughout just the span of my career, from 2007 to present day. And they reflect kind of the old and proven versus new and shiny dialogues that were happening at any given moment. For a long time, it was the relational databases versus these new NoSQL databases. It was Java versus everybody. Definitely recommend checking these out, and also understanding the date in which they were written, the context, what was proven and unproven at that time. Using Node.js, for example, was considered at the time spending an innovation token. Nowadays, that is sort of more a known quantity, right? This is about patterns of behavior over time. So I don't want to get too bogged down in each one of these historical technology wars, but just to briefly address one of the most recent disillusionments we've experienced, microservices. A lot can be said about the industry's over-adoption of microservices, and honestly, I think that it's a big indication that, by and large, we just still don't know what we're doing. When we'll hop on a trend like this and go so far down the path, and I'm not saying that the original thought leaders that popularized microservices didn't know what they were doing, but I'm saying the fact that we all just run off like lemmings and try to put a square peg in a round hole, we got to knock that off, that's why I'm saying, one of my really key principles I want to impress upon people as they're navigating all these quote unquote best practices is, choose boring tech. Choose boring solutions. Avoid things that are needlessly exciting. Complexity has to be justified. Risk has to be justified. And microservices probably sound like a really good idea in a lot of times when they're actually not, because small pieces with clear boundaries are a good idea, right? But guess what? You can do that with a monolith or just with services, right? Like before you try to break a monolith into 30 pieces, have you considered trying to do it into like 3? Have you considered taking places where your business domain is really crystallized and you understand where the boundaries are, and then just extracting 1 boundary, 2 boundaries, a couple pieces. See how that goes. Don't just go right into a big bang rewrite into 1,000 microservices. You then will have 3 problems, right? You'll have the problem of the poorly maintained monolith you already had, and you have the challenges associated with microservices, and you will have the problem associated with having 2 versions of something running at once, because the rewrite will likely never finish. So am I against change? Am I against new ideas? No, I'm a total language geek. I'm a technophile. As much as anything, this whole channel is about bringing about change successfully in software. But you bring about change by knowing what you're doing. You don't play around in production. When it comes to production, I want to be bored. And as Lao Tzu said in the Tao Te Ching, with patience, the most tangled cord may be undone. Thank you.